The introduction of ASRA started with a vision that was given to me by God on a holy hill with the sunset rising between a mash of rain clouds, the sun breaking through them. We've been given ASRA to implement into the country as an e-platform. The government structure starts at the top with the president of the country. What we're doing here is linking the president to the financial department, from the financial department down to a database, from a database right down to the end user for every single different department, and we have 29 different government departments. The president needs to know on a daily basis how many children are born, or how many new houses were built, basically how much money has been spent, what's the growth, how many people have got social grants. And these questions can't sometimes be answered due to the fact that in this country at the moment we have a paper database where we have to rely on humans, individuals, to give us this information, and there's always human error. So let's put in an e-platform, e-government platform, or an open source code which is free, which can monitor, account to everything we have, from budgets right down to humans. We go from the president to our dear Trevor Manuel. Trevor Manuel manages the budgets for the country. We can account on the budgets in the system, on the ASRA audiovisual system, which is an e-platform, an open source code, from overspending to underspending to not overspending and not underspending. On the system you have an asset register which you can account for every new equipment, the old equipment, when it needs to be repaired, when it needs to be serviced, when it needs to be maintained. When you need to buy new equipment, when you need to buy new licenses or spend money. You can account through a budgeting system which ASRA Audiovisual has, where in 5 years you can budget. You'll know exactly how much money on this platform that you will need to spend in the next 5 years. Let's take the system from Trevor Manuel down to a database which will be Home Affairs. Home Affairs into our database, our foundation of this country. Because if we look at it in a realistic way, what do you have in a country to make it turn? Human beings. Human beings need to turn the government over. They need to be born, they need to be employed, they need to go to school, they need to have all the different departments and functions that any person has. Home Affairs say we have 45 billion people in the country. Presently, our databases say we have 95, our paper databases. Now we're going to correct it. On an e-platform, you have, let's go down to the bottom of the line of Home Affairs. You have multi-centers all over South Africa and maybe even the world, where you can register a birth, a death. We've accounted for somebody new coming in to the world, in our country, and leaving our country through Home Affairs. From Home Affairs into the 29 different departments that we have, where we can account for money spent. Let's start at the most important part, is when you're born. A hospital, which is health. The baby is born. The mother goes to the hospital or in a rural area. She gives birth. She can go to a multi-center, and online she can click on a button and register the birth of a baby. 6 months later, it's got to get its first injections. Once it gets its first injection, you've got a database and a history of the child. But before the baby gets the injections, the minute the baby is born, you'll be able to account for how many deaf children were born, how many blind children were born, if the baby was disabled, if the baby has AIDS. Right there and then, we can account for a human being. And let's go back to the finance department, where they can say they know exactly how many houses or hospitals or schools they would need, because this information that we don't have is now at our fingertips. In the hospital, you need to account for medicines distributed throughout the hospitals. In the system, once again, one system, e-platform, open source code, free, completely one database. Everybody has access into only departments that they can enter into. The nurses will be able to account for the medicine they give to the patients. The patients will be able to account for their time in the hospital. Voice, facial, you've got video, you've got audio, you've got biometrics, you've got blood type, you've got DNA. That is powerful. Now you have a card with an ID, the photograph of the person, the voice, the biometric side of it, and what have we accomplished? We are accounting once again for every process flow within the hospital. May it be medicine being distributed through the hospital, may it be the World Bank wanting a report on funding coming into this country, into health, and then into a euro area. It's accountability, 100% for health. Let's go from health to education. Why health to education? Because once the child is born, it needs to be educated. Through the multi-centers, once again, we are registering a baby for the entry-level school or nursery school. We have accountability on how many children. Once again, our finance department of the country can then say to Emmanuel, we know exactly how many children will be entering school in the year 2006. How many boys, how many girls, how many disabled people, how many blind people. Now the child arrives at the school. Registration comes in. You've got the child on a database for education. As the child grows up, you've got the database in colleges. You've got the database in universities. The correct database. You write an exam online. You learn online. Same system. Our children in this country can write exams in euro areas in their homes wirelessly from computers. All they have to do is go into www.egov, click on education, matric exams for 2006, click on a button that will bring up a document or report to say the exam will be written in November on such and such a date. This is your code issued to you. Once the child has the code, come November 2006, the child goes to a website anywhere in the world, puts the code in and can write an exam online. The verification of that exam with the confidentiality and the security that's in the system, the education MEC can then enter into a code and authorize certain people to have access to mark exams. Teachers that now have to meet in schools and in public places and areas where there's security and backups and bodyguards and everything to keep this whole process of being able to account for the examinations is stopped, because now we don't need that anymore. The database is so secure nobody can come into it. What have we done? We've given the children opportunity to write in their own time. We've stopped corruption, we've stopped fraud, we've stopped crooking of exam papers, the theft of exam papers. Well, how do we at the moment announce our matric results through the newspaper? How can we announce it now? All we have to do is click onto the internet and see if you've passed. You don't have to wait until a certain date in December or January or February to hear if you've passed matric. It can be 48 hours later that you can announce an exam being passed. Why? Because the database will have the original questions on there and it will verify it against the answers that the children have given. And what has it done? It's accounted and marked the examination paper for you. As soon as the variation is done on the exam, the child can be informed either by an SMS or a telephone call that you have passed the exam. Because in the system, it allows for an SMS to be sent to you to say, you've just passed your matric examination. Accountability, 100% on writing your matric exam or any exam. You have accounted. And it is an archive history at a click of a button where you can draw out a report and it is there. The corruption, the fraud, the theft that you are stopping with this platform coming into government in this structure, free, open source, accessible worldwide through the internet, is the most powerful system you could ever wish to have. Right now, internationally, people are studying e-learning to write pilot exams, to learn to fly an aeroplane, a Boeing, a helicopter. They are getting a license online. E-learning, it has to be for this country. Not yesterday, now, right now. And we have the skill in this country to implement the e-platform in open source. Public works people need homes. The homes and the buildings and the government buildings need to be maintained. They have a budget. From the budget, you can actually monitor every single project that has been either built, repaired, maintained in this country. Each and every project that has funding, may it come from overseas or may it come from our finance department's Trevor Manual. At a click of a button, you can see how far the project has gone, what has been accomplished, which SMMEs have built that project, how much they got paid, when they got paid, and what the productivity on the project was. Right now, in public works, the buildings are falling down. They need painting. The furniture hasn't been replaced. The carpets are so old. The water doesn't work. The basins are broken. The toilets are broken. Accountability for public works. Once again, where is the money going? Put the e-platform in, the e-system, the Azure audiovisual system in open source codes. Give Trevor Manual the code. Give the MEC of Public Works the code and let them account for the projects. Once again, we will have visual clips of the project starting from A to Z. You will be accountable for every single cent you spend on the projects. Social welfare at the moment do not have the tools to be able to manage the cases that they've been given. They do not have the correct vehicles, they do not have the time, they do not have the infrastructure. Infrastructure on an e-platform right now is a laptop and a camera and the Azure audiovisual system. When you have that, your productivity to go out to remove a child from a rural area that's been abused or from a home anywhere in the world, at a click of a button, you can take a voice recording, a photograph and send it through to a judge. A judge can then give you an order online to remove the child from the home. Social welfare needs the tools. Give them the tools they need. This is the tool they need. E-platform, free, once again, open source code. One system from the top to the bottom. Social grants. Our aged old people in this country have to walk miles and miles and miles to collect a grant, to register for a grant. Now, if we go back, Home Affairs, they register online in multi-centers. They don't need to travel miles anymore. They go to the multi-center and they pick up the internet, or they tap a gentleman on the shoulder and they say to him, "Sir, please, this is my ID number. Please put my ID number in. I need to collect my grant." The gentleman working in the rural area in a multi-center automatically goes once again www.egov, click on social welfare. This human being has got a photograph, it's got a voice recording, it's got biometrics attached to it, and it is accountable for collecting that grant.
This computerized system, I think it's easy and it's convenient. The system doesn't allow you to pay the wrong beneficiary. You have to check whether it's the right one, the fingerprints, everything.
What have we achieved? Accountability, productivity, savings, billions and billions and billions of rands. We can go one step further. Trevor Manual can instruct the banks of this country to say, you will issue every single human being an internet account to receive their banking details and their social grants. It's possible. It's a reality. Why has it not been done? Money can go directly from social welfare to an internet account of a human being that is an aged person that needs to collect a social grant. You don't need the paper chain, the little van that arrives in the center and pays people, and if you're not there, you don't get your money. You can go any time during the month and collect your money if it's been transferred into your internet account. What have you just done? You've empowered somebody that has never ever had a banking history to have a bank account. You've stopped corruption and fraud in our banking environments in this country to say, you can't have a bank account because you don't have a document. It's not the human being's fault that they were born in this country in a rural area and didn't understand that they needed to go to Home Affairs to apply for a document. In a multi-center, you're speaking your own language to your own people. They can explain to you, this is how it's done. The love, the caring, the affection that you get from that is what you will never get at Home Affairs when you go to apply for a document. Never. Municipalities, electricity, water for homes. Right now, how do you read an electricity meter or water meter? You have electricity people going out to read electricity, you have water people going out to measure your water, and you have postmen delivering your post. I remember when I was a child and the postman used to come around, he used to drive on this bicycle, this old bicycle, and he had this big bag, or he used to walk. Sometimes he used to walk and it was pouring with rains and dogs would attack them. Nowadays, the postman delivers post in a vehicle. He drives a car, stops, runs and drops the post off, gets back in, runs back, comes back. Look at the cost of the vehicle, the maintenance of the vehicle. Why not give them a tool to connect to the internet, which is the Azure Audiovisual System? E-Platform, open source, free, accountability of receiving the post, delivering the post, 100% accounted for. Once again, you're empowering human beings with no skills to have skills, computer skills. You've opened up a window of opportunity. You've opened the lid of the box and they can see further than just picking up something and dropping it off or driving it to get it there. That skill in 3 hours can be taught to us. You can't learn that in university at all, ever. You've empowered people who read meters. The minute they touch that meter, he's accessed the document electronically. He's filled in the meter reading. He's taken a visual of it, attached the visual to the document. He's sent it wirelessly before he even gets to the next home. The database can account exactly where he was at 7 o'clock, what time the meter was read. What have you done? You've empowered somebody to have a skill that is so powerful, they are stopping electricity fraud. Meters being broken. You can't account for meters being broken in this country. You hear from the person going to read that somebody's connected their electricity illegally. Now you have empowered somebody with a tool that they can video the broken meter. The state has a case against the owner. Right now, you can't. With the Azure Audiovisual System, you can account 100% for electricity to be read. The cost savings that you would save by doing this, it wouldn't even be a touch or a grain compared to the mountain of sand that you're laying out at the moment. Right now, Trevor Manuel has budgets. The budgets always get a little bit bigger, but there always seem to be never enough money to be sent. Let's save all this money that we're wasting. Empower the people with systems, an e-platform that is going to save you billions, and let's take the billions and put it back into the country and make it economical growth for them. Our bus system at the moment is non-existent. It's a reality. Our taxis of today have taken over. Their own fleets, their own behaviors, their own licenses. We have the 2010 World Cup coming. We need to teach our taxi drivers how to be polite. Let's empower them with a system that people can buy online tickets to riding taxis instead of paying cash. Right now, you can't account for the money that goes through the taxi man's hands. Right now, you can't account for the human beings riding on the bus. You can't account for the people riding on the trains. You can't account for the people flying. It's not one system. It's 20 different systems that don't talk to each other. On the Azure E Platform, open source e-government, which we want to implement, you can account 100% for every human being that has bought a card or a disc that can allow them to ride in the taxis for the month or for the year. You can account 100% for every single cent that has been spent through this system on the internet. They're buying a ticket on the internet. You're empowering them to learn how to use the internet. Right now in this country, not even 30% of the people know how to use the internet or understand it. Through the Azure Audiovisual System, every single human being born into this country right now, if they work on this e-platform, will be 100% accountable from the time it's born till the time it leaves this earth, for how much money it spends traveling, learning, riding a bus, whatever it does. You can account for the money that goes through the taxi men's hands. You can account for the buses. Every person pays so much on a bus. Give them the ability to buy the tickets online. Let's go fleet management. You can monitor the fleet of the buses or the taxis or the trucks going through the tolls, when they need tires, when they need their engines replaced. Monitoring, evaluation, accountability, productivities, budget savings, overspending, underspending. Once again, same process from A to Z. Accountability to the transport department, 100%. You can tell where the vehicle is, what time it went through the toll, because it's on one platform. How is it accounted for? Financially, human factor, and the ticket factor that the service is actually being used. National or international investigations of cases, fraud, theft, foreign currency, foreign exchange, diamonds, integral cases, scorpion cases. You have a case, you need to follow a person. They overseas. By the time you've caught a flight overseas and going through passport control and registered on the other side and got permission to enter into the country and go through all the protocol to be able to get a case, you can actually, through the e-gov system, which we're putting into government, you can say, this is the code of the docket I need you to look at. Please punch it in, go on to www. The entire file will be there. Voice recordings, clips of the person, who they are, how they disguise themselves, the time, the date, the places that they were, the flights. The minute they enter into the country, you will know, or leave the country, because they will not be able to fly out of this country or drive through one of our borders if we have this e-platform. If we have this e-platform and everybody is on one system, the minute he goes through a border, they're going to have an ID card coming into the country and going out of the country. What have you just accomplished? You have caught a criminal before he even enters into the country. He can go on to a site where the international intelligence or national intelligence or Scorpions or Integral can say, these are the people that have come through our borders. On a daily basis, they can check against their databases if they are the people that they need to be arrested. What have we accomplished? Terrorists coming into our country, terrorists leaving our country. If you link all the systems together, the information is at a click of a button at your fingertips to pull reports and to gather data and to close cases. Correctional services. You need to account for the prisoners. The bad prisoners, the good prisoners, the political prisoners, the minor crime prisoners. Why don't we look at a social development program for our prisoners where we can account the minute they are in the jail or they get arrested, no matter it be at a house breaking or any crime that is committed. Real time, once again, same solution. You have a security guard that can access a database. He can say, this prisoner is walking around in the shopping center or this town. Once again, the database verifies it. What have we achieved? Bang! The person is identified from a photograph and a voice recording. He can be arrested. Correctional services. You have prisoners in jail. Why are people in jail? They haven't been given the opportunity to be able to benefit, to find work. So what do? They steal. Because that's the best thing they know how and the easiest thing they know how. The only way to live is you need money. If you don't have money, you're going to do something wrong to get the money. Even though your heart is telling you it's not the right thing to do, you're going to do it. Let's take these people that need help and let's give them a skill. We can train them with a social program to teach how to use an e-platform or to train other people how to use the system. What have we done? We've given somebody a skill in 3 hours that is going to open up a window of opportunity for growth and employment for that person. You've put them on a social development program. You've given them employment. And what are they doing? They're achieving and they're stopping corruption and fraud and they're out of our prisons. Correctional services, the buildings, the maintenance, the power, the water. Why? Why do we have to have prisons in such an awful state? Why can't we have communal centers as prisons correcting the wrong? And with an e-platform, you can achieve so much more quicker, because it's information traveling at the speed of thought. Let's look at the Scorpions right now. To investigate a case and have to travel from one area to another area, to another area, to another continent, or to another city to get information. The information through an IT system and an e-platform is as quick as clicking your fingers. Take that against having to book a flight, having to get in a car, drive 700 kilometers, pick up the information. That person's long gone that you're investigating. Catch a flight to Cape Town. You don't even know if he's arrived in Cape Town, where they are, what he looks like. He may have disguised himself. Scorpions have access to that database right now in Cape Town, East London, Port Elizabeth, London, Switzerland, Brazil. At a click of a button, that file can be given to anybody in the world to pick up somebody. So if they have got through our system to leave this country, the database will be accessible to any international person. So let's help the Scorpions by putting them on an e-platform. Presently, we're running a system in this country where you need to register to vote, to elect a president. Our systems are so outdated. No matter how we try and upgrade them presently, there's no system that is functional to run an election. Take the e-platform. You have multi-centers all over the country, which are accessible at a click of a button. We are saying we don't need to spend the money on elections the way we do. Paper, validations, documents, files, advertising. All you have to do is implement an e-platform for voting. One system, again, the same system, open source, free to the humans of this country. They walk into the same area that they would get a driver's license, an education, a birth or a death, and they vote online. They register online. They don't have to wait for the election dates for 4 days and then 1 week or 7 days afterwards or 3 days later to be able to have the accountability of how many people voted and which party won. Right now, real time, I can click on a computer here and now and vote and put my vote in. I don't even have to move from my home.